I'm not religious. Not even in the slightest. If you are, that's perfectly fine. I'm not here to judge. But I do believe in the paranormal and the unexplained. Now, it just so happens that these two things pair perfectly well with religious-based horror. Just think of the number of possession movies you can think of alone. But today's movie is what would happen if the Catholic Church found out how to resurrect the dead, but it came with consequences that they were prepared to do just about anything to keep secret. We're talking necromancy without zombies. In the near future, the Catholic Church has found the secret of resurrection. However, they only grant second life to sinless believers under 65. One man whose son was the first to be resurrected finds the awful conspiracy behind the secrets to eternal life, and now the church will stop at nothing to stop him. As always here on my channel, I'm now going to go and watch Resurrected from 2023 off camera, so that way, if you too want to watch this movie, there will be no spoilers. Nobody wants to watch a movie that they have just watched somebody else watch from start to finish.
Of course. Wake the dead.
I haven't heard a single person talk about the movie Resurrected, and I kind of went into this movie blind, apart from the very brief description that I read on IMDb. This is a movie told through screens, so think phone screens, laptops, CCTV cameras, that kind of thing. So if you don't like movies like Unfriended, Missing, Profile, Retta, then this probably isn't going to be a style of movie that you're going to enjoy. But I actually think that this is one of the stronger movies that I've seen that uses this format. It is... I'm trying not to spoil things here, it's very beneficial to the plot and how it helps things progress and move forward. The acting's not too bad. Some are better than others, but I will say that it's very well lit, so it is a very pleasant viewing experience from that point of view. I will say that if you are going to watch this movie, then please bear in mind that there is a trigger warning I'm going to mention for discussions of and an actual depiction of suicide. So if this is something that is going to affect you, then I would suggest avoid watching Resurrection from 2023. The plot actually brings up a very interesting discussion on the line between church and state and where that is, and why religious organizations should be held accountable in the same way as everybody else. It's something that I agree with, but I do think that my views are for a different time and for a different video. But it also brings up the idea of whether somebody else has the right to play God with somebody else's lives. For example, in this movie, when somebody passes away and they are deemed to be sinless, then they have the possibility of being resurrected. Now, if you were going to be resurrected, but you had prior knowledge of everything that had happened to you, how would you feel about this? Like, imagine you had died from an illness and you had made peace with this, and then your family decided that they were going to have you resurrected, or you were murdered by a family member and then they resurrected you just for you to then sit in court because they needed your testimony, and it is more impactful to have you there as a resurrected being. Like, how would you feel about this? Everyone is being monitored by the Catholic Church for every single little thing that you do, and some of these things are classed as sin and will go against your chances of being resurrected. But this has also laid way to a new group of people who class themselves as one-lifers, and people who they want to live their lives however they want to live their lives, and they see it that they don't want to be resurrected, and, you know, make the most of your time here on earth. And I'd say that that's the camp that I fall into. I don't think that the church has the right to tell somebody how to live their lives, because if you're not religious, what right do you have to tell me how I should live my life? It doesn't affect me in any way. I'm going to try and tell the plot in as spoiler-free way as possible, so you can decide if you think that this movie is more for you. You follow a resurrection counsellor who is a member of the Catholic Church, and his job is to provide counselling for people who are resurrected for the first 2 months and make sure that they are integrated back into society. He just so happens to also be the father of the very first resurrected child. Something happens with one of the people that he is giving counselling to, and because of this, the FBI get involved. So bear in mind, you've now got the Catholic Church doing its Big Brother bit, and you've got the FBI now doing their Big Brother bit. This leads our priest/counsellor to start doing his own investigation with the help of a cherub. Now, a cherub is somebody who is paid to basically go through somebody's entire past records and history and determine whether they are a suitable candidate for resurrection or not. I enjoyed this movie, but I do think that the horror element of this movie is going to be very hit or miss depending on what personally unnerves you. And to me, I honestly think that this movie feels more like a thriller rather than a horror movie. Now, if you're somebody that finds conspiracy and the whole thing that Big Brother is watching you scary, then sure, then this movie will probably be way scarier for you than it was for me. I didn't personally find this movie scary in the slightest. I can't really divulge what any of the conspiracy dystopian elements are without going into major spoilers for the entire movie, because when things start to escalate in this movie, they escalate quite quickly and lots of things happen in rapid succession. But because of this, I do find that at one point the plot becomes quite muddied and it isn't the easiest to follow along with if you suddenly look away from your TV for a few minutes. I think that they just tried to do so much in this movie that at times they've just done a little bit too much. Honestly, I don't think that I've ever seen anything like Resurrected before. I've seen quite a lot of religious-based horror, I've seen quite a few screen-based movies, but I've never seen anything that combines those two subgenres together in this kind of way before. I don't think I've ever seen anything that is a screen-based religious horror. I do wish, though, that they had done more with the supernatural kind of element to this movie. At the end of the day, it is a dystopian horror, not a utopian horror, and I don't think that you actually see enough of the supernatural stuff that is the sort of rippling undercurrent that is fed throughout the movie. And I think if you had seen more of what was coming, then the ending would have been more impactful. The ending just kind of fizzled a little bit for me and it fell kind of flat, and I think that, again, had that supernatural element been implemented in a much stronger way, then the ending kind of 20 minutes, it would have been a solid ending, but no, it just fizzled. It's not a flawless masterpiece in any kind of way, but I do think that they have actually done really well considering the constraints of the film screen subgenre that they're working with. I think that it's not the easiest of genres to work with because you have to constantly have some kind of screen or communication device, whether that be phones, laptops, surveillance cameras. This also uses social media a lot. To be exact, there is Twitter, now X, it will always be Twitter. It uses Skype a lot. There's various articles for things interjected into it. So there is always something going on. So if you're not watching from somebody's screen, you're seeing a news article for something, you're seeing things on the dark web. There's an awful lot going on in this movie. I am actually going to give Resurrected from 2023 a 3.5 out of 5 stars because while it isn't the best movie, it is a fairly decent movie, and I do think that it is currently flying very much under the radar, and I honestly think that more people should go away and actually check this movie out. So there you have it, my initial thoughts and my review on Resurrected from 2023. If you have seen this movie, I would love to know what your thoughts and opinions are down in the comments section down below. If you would like to know every single horror movie that I watch, not just the ones I talk about here on my channel, you can find me over on Instagram, and I will be back on Monday with another solo review. So until next time, bye!